Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is another game review. It is the last game review of the season. Been a really long season for us Evertonians. Covered every single game here on the channel and this is the final one this season that we are going to cover. Of course, Everton took on Spurs at the brand spanking new fancy Spurs Stadium last Sunday and we come away with a 2-2 draw on the day. A really good performance by the Blues. Wasn't perfect, wasn't as good as some of the performances we've seen against other top six sides recently, but nevertheless a fantastic performance away from home against, for me, one of the best teams in the league. And I'm talking other than the teams like City and Liverpool who have established a level heads above other sides. Spurs for me are the best side in the league, like I said, other than those two. And we went to their ground and we matched them in a lot of ways. And there was times in that game where we really should have walked away with the 3 points. Of course, going 2-1 up at one point, conceding a sloppy, silly free kick on the edge of the box. When really, we should be realising that when they've got players like Christian Eriksen who can hit the ball from anywhere and put the ball in the back of the net from anywhere, we shouldn't be giving away free kicks on the edge of the box like that. But nevertheless, we did, and we ended up coming away with a 2-2 draw, which I don't think is the worst result whatsoever. If you'd have said to Evertonians before the game you're going to walk away here with a 2-2 draw, I think a lot of them would have been happy, never mind saying we were going to go 2-1 up and be in the game for 90 minutes and some would argue even control the game for 80 of those 90 minutes. We played really well. Of course, we're going to talk about Marco Silva's starting 11. A little bit different to the one that we predicted in the game preview, a little bit different to the one that I think a lot of people predicted. Obviously, we done the game preview that went up on Thursday. I actually recorded it before the press conference for Marco Silva. Obviously, Marco Silva had this press conference just after I'd recorded the video, and then it come out that Richarlison was injured, Calvert-Lewin was injured, Seamus Coleman was injured, so we always knew that the starting 11 was going to be a little bit different for this game. Of course, Marco Silva made a couple of changes. We'll talk about them in just a minute, and we'll also talk about the season as a whole. I'm not going to go too much into it because I've got a lot of content coming over the next sort of weeks and months about the season. Of course, I know the season's over now, but I just want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. If you were sitting here thinking, thank God I don't have to listen to that annoying little bastard for another 2 months or whatever, no, I'm staying. Basically, I'm still going to be doing content. I'm still going to be talking about obviously the season that we've just had, talking about how we all feel it's gone, Marco Silva, how he's done in his first season as Everton manager, and also just talking about what we can expect going into next season, how this summer transfer window is massively important to Everton Football Club. So we'll talk, as a season as a whole, of course, in the coming weeks' videos. Obviously, we'll have a video on Thursday, a live stream on Thursday, and have a live stream on Friday as well, talking about the Premier League season. But we will talk about it briefly in this game review, of course, because we're reviewing the last game of the season. Everton, of course, finishing 8th in the Premier League. Little bit, I don't know. What do you think of that? For me, I don't really mind. Yes, of course, at the start of the season, we wanted to finish 7th. Yes, of course, we wanted to finish in that Europa League place. We wanted to finish the best of the rest, even though I fucking hate that term. But, I think, considering the poor run of form we had in sort of December, January, February time and how bad it was then, I think we can sort of sit back and go, 8th, a decent position. Wolves have had a really good season, and fair play to Wolves, but they won't be there next season. They've got European football, which will no doubt have an effect on their league form, and then, of course, Wolves will have to be chopping and changing constantly their team because every other team around them will only improve, as will Everton. For me, I really see Everton challenging that top 6 next season, and I'm not just saying that because we've had a few good results against top 6 sides, or we've got on a decent run of form before the end of the season. I'm saying that because I see Manchester United only going that way, Chelsea with the transfer ban only going that way, Arsenal's away form is shocking as well, and I really think it, like I said, if we can add to our squad, I think the main thing is if we can keep Adesanya Gay, if we can sign Zuma and Gomez on a permanent, and we can bring in maybe a striker, maybe a couple of other players as well, I really do think we can challenge that top 6, and I think that's where our season next season is won or lost, whether it's going to be a fantastic season or whether it's going to be another building season. It really is based on this summer transfer window and how well we do in the summer. But we'll talk about that, like I said, in the next coming weeks and months, and we'll talk about that at the end of this video. Of course, we're here to review a game of football. Whether it's the last game of the season or not, we're still here to review a game of football in which Everton played on Sunday afternoon. There would have been a few Evertonians focused on another couple of games of football and maybe just had this one on the background because, let's be honest, we weren't really playing for much. Tottenham have got a bigger game on the horizon in the Champions League final, so there wasn't really much in our game, but take nothing away from our performance, of course. But obviously, I think a lot of football fans across the country were focusing on making sure Manchester City won the league and not Daimler across the park, because I couldn't have lived with that one. Anyway, let me just tweet the team out before we go any further, so everybody on Twitter knows that we are live, so they can come and get involved in the conversation, of course. Bear with me 2 seconds. Like we said, fantastic result. Could have won that game of football, I'm not gonna lie. And like I said, I think with the sort of, with the general consensus being on the 2 games on Sunday, being on the Liverpool game, being on the City game, and a lot of the footballing world wanting to watch that title race and how that one unfolded and who ended up lifting the Premier League trophy at the end of the day, I think it took away sort of a little bit from this game, because I generally think we performed really well. If this had been, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a lot of us would have been sitting back going, you know what, that was a fantastic performance. That, whereas now a lot of us are saying the Blues are boss, great performance, go into next season, but Liverpool lost the league. And I'm sitting back and I'm lapping it up as well, because they've bottled it again. They've not won the league on 97 points, but at the end of the day, it's not really about them, it's about Everton Football Club. And we went to one of the best teams in the league, one of the best teams in Europe, a team that are going to be fighting for the Champions League in the Champions League final, and we went there and we consoled a lot of the game. We didn't go and get a lucky draw, we didn't go and get turned over. We went there, we stood up for ourselves with changes to the squad that, players that haven't really played much this season, the likes of Cenk Tosun, the likes of Yerry Mina, Kurt Zouma playing out of position, Theo Walcott coming in despite his recent form not being fantastic, and we still went and stood up to them. And I know they had Son out and they had Kane out and whatever, but this is still a team that, even with those players out, should be head and shoulders better than Everton. And we went there and we put in a really good performance, and you can only praise Marco Silva and the lads for that. The Football Fan says, hi Cameron, what are you planning on doing for content in the summer? Hope you're well. I'm going to be doing a load of stuff in the summer. Obviously, in the next coming days and weeks and months, we're going to be talking about the season as it was, talking about, how well we done, how well Marco Silva's done, what we've got to do now in terms of the summer transfer window, how big of a job this is for Marco Silva and Marcel Brands. And then of course we'll be going into the pre-season content, talking about the pre-season games, talking about what to expect next season. There'll be all sorts of stuff surrounding Everton Football Club. There'll be a new kit released, I dare say. There'll be more stadium news. There'll be a lot of stuff to cover, and there'll be a lot of content over the channel during the summer, so do not worry about that. And I'm not too bad, mate. I hope you are doing well yourself. And Alex says, what winger and striker do you see us getting realistically? Listen, I want Lozano from PSV, although I know Marcel Brands has come out recently and said, we've not spoken to the player. Doesn't mean we're not interested in the player. And in terms of striker, realistically is the key word there. I don't know. You'd have to define who we realistically could get. Could we realistically get a Timo Werner? And is that realistically, is that one of those where you say, no, it's not because he's going to Bayern? Or is that one where you're going, well, he's free and he might want to move to the Premier League, so is that realistic? I don't know. But yeah, I'd have to think about that one. And the Football Fan just says, will you start a Patreon? I don't know. Maybe at some point in the future, but maybe not yet. Like I said, only started to see the channel, 9 months ago, and I'm so grateful for all the support that I've been given over them 9 months. Literally, like I said, we've covered every game this season, and when I made the Wolves review for the first game of the season, I sat here in my room, a little nervous kid, and talked about Everton's 2-2 draw against Wolves on the first day of the season. I never thought I'd get as much support as I have over the course of the season, so thank you all very much for that. It really does mean a massive amount to me. I put a tweet out before as well and said the support over on Twitter is unbelievable as well. Like I said, I never thought I'd be nearing 500 subscribers in the first not even year, in the first season. Of course, it'll be going into the first year once the new season kicks off as well, and hopefully we'll have had a lot more content out during the summer before then as well. Samuel says, we've shown we can play against anybody and win against anyone. Exactly. And the Football Fan chat says, predict how the top 6 will finish next season. As you say, you lot could finish there. I'm going to say the top 6 will be the same teams as that are in it now, but Everton instead of Manchester United. I'm not doing the who's going to finish first, second, third, fourth, because I think it's well too early to predict that, considering this season's only just finished. But anyway, let's talk about the 2-2 draw against Spurs on Sunday. Of course, Everton played on Sunday, although maybe some of us are sitting there thinking, thank fuck Liverpool didn't win the league, and that was, as long as that didn't happen, then we're sound. But Everton played on Sunday, and that's the most important thing in my heart as Everton Football Club. So, like I said earlier on in the stream, Marco Silva fielded a little bit of a different side to the ones that we've seen recently, and that was, of course, due to injuries. Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Seamus Coleman, of course, all deemed unfit for the game by Marco Silva in his pre-game press conference on Thursday. So we always knew there were going to be changes to the squad. When the team sheet actually got announced, and Everton's admin on Twitter and Everton's social media accounts have got a habit of, I don't know, 35 games throughout a Premier League season, they'll have the team sheet with all the players in the right positions, and you'll be able to see it's a 4-3, you know, or 4-2-3-1 or whatever the formation is, and you'll be able to see what formation Marco Silva's going for. But every, 3 or 4 games a season, even the admin doesn't have a fucking clue what's happening, and they just put all the lists of the players on the team sheet, and they just go, that's who's playing, fuck knows where they're playing, fuck knows what the formation is, but they're the 11 players that are in this starting 11. And this was one of those sort of situations, and I was looking at the team sheet before, obviously at 2 o'clock when it was released on Sunday, and I was thinking, I don't quite understand what Marco Silva's going for here. Now, a lot of fans clocked onto it at first. A lot of fans said maybe it's still a 4 at the back with Kurt Zouma at right back, but for me it initially looked like it was going to be a 5 at the back with Theo Walcott as a right wing back. Now, I wasn't very happy if that was the case, because I didn't want to see Theo Walcott play a defensive role, because I don't think he can. It turned out that it was just the regular formation with Kurt Zouma at right back, and I actually felt Kurt Zouma fitted in pretty well. He got down the wings a couple of times, and he even put the odd cross into the box. Obviously, he didn't have the attacking threat that Seamus Coleman does. Obviously, he doesn't have the attacking threat that Luca Dean does on the left. But for a centre-half fitting in that position, I think he done quite well. Listen, we all know Kurt Zouma isn't the pacey, skillful centre-half. It's not like he's been put at right back and people have gone, well, you know what? He should be able to play there effectively. Realistically, you look at Kurt Zouma and you think, you know what, if you can just do a solid job defensively at right back, then fair enough, because we shouldn't have really expected him to be breaking down the channels at paces and throwing balls into the box every 2 minutes, because he isn't that type of defender. Never mind, that type of player. He's a defensive player, and he sits there, and whatever he faces, he has it out, and that he's a proper centre half. He's not a centre half that can play right back. He's not like a Mason Holgate type of player. He is a proper full on centre half. So I think he done quite well fitting in. So obviously we'll go through the starting 11. Sorry, not the predicted starting 11. Marco Silva fielder, Jordan Pickford in goal. Again, pretty self-explanatory. Was it ever going to be any different? No. Of course, the back four, like we've just said, of Luca Dean at left back, Yerry Mina and Michael Keane in the centre of defence, and Kurt Zouma at right back. Yerry Mina slotting in for the first time since his injury, of course. He's had injuries throughout the course of the season. Probably the only signing that we made last summer that fans are still sort of on the fence about. Fans are still sort of, is he good enough? Is he going to be able to, break into this team and play consistent football week in, week out? Not just because there's questions about his ability, but because there's questions about his fitness as well. But Yerry Mina coming, obviously, he's done a job. Might have left his man on the first goal, but whatever. It's the last game of the season. Cut the man some slack. He hasn't played. He's played a handful of games all season. Of course, it's his first season in the Premier League. He's had injuries as well, so he slotted in. He done what he needs to do. Obviously, Michael Keane next to him. We know Michael Keane's had a fantastic season, probably been our most improved player. Added that consistency to his game as well, especially when he's been partnered next to Kurt Zouma. And then, of course, like we said, we had Kurt Zouma at right back, who slotted in and put in a really, really good shift. I thought, of course, wasn't the attacking right back that we all love and want to see, because he's not. He's a centre-half, he's not a right-back, but he slotted in well and he done what he needed to do. And I think the back four as a whole played, quite well throughout the game. Of course, the first goal, Tottenham scored within the first 3 minutes of the game, and that was a little bit sloppy. That was one of them where you can tell the concentration levels have dropped, and when you lose concentration against a team like Spurs, against the side with the attacking threat, with the attacking prowess that they have, it's always going to bite you on the arse, and it bit us on the arse right at the start of the game. And I'm almost a little bit happier that it bit us on the arse right at the start of the game, because it meant that we all then needed to click into concentration straight away, and we all needed to go, well, hang on, that's not good enough. If that had happened 30, 40, maybe, into the 30, 40 minutes into the game, maybe into the second half, our heads would have dropped and would have gone, well, shit, we've lost this game. But because it happened so quickly, the lads, get their heads up and go, well, let's let that not happen again. And of course, we ended up going 2-1 up after that. And yet, listen, the second goal was an absolutely stunning free kick. Personally, I think Marco Silva should do better. I really, really do think... not Marco Silva, sorry. I think Jordan Pickford should do better. I do put a tweet out saying it was shocking goalkeeping. Some fans didn't agree with that. I thought he really, really should do better, to be honest. I think it's a good free kick, but it's definitely not an unsavable free kick. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Of course, that was the back line, like we said. Kurt Zouma adopting an, unusual right-back position, but he done what he needs to do. He done his job, and again, he proved why he's such an important player to our setup. And for me, like I said, we're looking at the summer transfer window and we're saying, we need a striker, we might need another right back, we might need another centre midfielder, but if we can keep it hold of Idrissa Gana Gueye and we can sign Andre Gomez and Kurt Zouma on a permanent, I think those three players are as good as new signings. If we can then bring in a 20 to 30 goal a season on striker on top of that, and then Marcel Brands and Marco Silva go, right, that's it, then I think we can't moan. I think that's been a good transfer window, because we are in dangerous territory, and we are, there's a dangerous chance that Idrissa Gana Gueye will leave the club in the summer and we won't be able to sign either Andre Gomes or Kurt Zouma on a permanent. Now, like we spoke about last week, there's been rumours flying about that, you know, Spurs have agreed personal terms with Andre Gomes and that they're ready to bid £30 million for him. I don't believe it myself. I think it's a load of arse from the newspapers as per usual. But if there is anything in it, then why wouldn't Andre Gomes consider going to a side that are in the Champions League final, consider going to a side that realistically are the only team that in the next 5 years will compete with City and Liverpool for that Premier League title? Why would he not consider that? He owes nothing to Everton other than a bit of loyalty for the fact that we brought him into this league. I'd love to sit here and say no. Andre Gomes would definitely just say no, I don't want to go to Spurs, I want to go to Everton. Everton's my club, I love the fans, I love the club, and I'd love to say things like that. And if he does, then he's a belter and he'd give him a contract for life because he's boss and he's got a boss haircut as well. But he's a footballer at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, 99% of footballers look out for their own career and their own personal achievements. And do we think Andre Gomes is one of them? Maybe we don't, because of how much appreciation he showed the fans during the course of the year, but that'll only be shown in the summer. But there's nothing to say that Spurs even want the player. That's just a load of paper shit at the minute, which you'll see for the next 3-4 weeks. You'll see the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, you'll see them all, the Echo, you'll see them all trying to sell our players. We'll be sitting here literally, I'll probably do a stream in about 3 or 4 weeks, and the newspapers have sold every single one of our players, and we'll all be sitting here going, belter, we've got no squad going into next season, because that's all they do. That is all they do. Even when these knobhead journalists are sitting there on Twitter behind the screen in the mum's box room and they're chatting about how poor of a season Everton have had, and now that we've got no place in criticising any other team because we've had a poor season, they'll still try and sell our players to other squads, other clubs, because they're all dickheads. But anyway, like I said, I wouldn't believe too much into the Gomes rumours, but if it did happen, I also wouldn't be that surprised either. Anyway, going into the centre of midfield, of course, Morgan Schneiderlin starting the game. We spoke about this in the preview. We spoke about the chance of Morgan Schneiderlin keeping his place. Why I thought he should keep his place, not because there's rumours about whether Gomes will sign a permanent deal or not, nothing to do with that, purely because I think Morgan Schneiderlin had earned his place, and I think he's done nothing wrong and he's done nothing to be dropped, and I think that was really, really important to me in predicting the starting 11. And I think it was important to Marco Silva as well. Listen, we all want Andre Gomes to sign on a permanent deal. We all know Andre Gomes is an absolutely fantastic footballer. We know how much he gives this squad. We know how good of a player he is. But at the end of the day, Morgan Schneiderlin slotted in when he needed to, when Andre Gomes got that suspension, and he done fantastically well, and he continued to do fantastically well, and he done fantastically well on Sunday. And I'm a big believer in, if you bring a player in for whatever reason, whether they brought in because another player's been injured, another player's been suspended, that player should not be dropped back out of that squad if they've done nothing wrong. And Morgan Schneiderlin had done nothing wrong. He'd fitted in, it wasn't a massive difference in quality, and he'd worked his bollocks off for the 3 games he was in there, and he deserved his shot at starting against Spurs, and I don't think many Blues would disagree with that. Yes, we probably would have liked to see Andre Gomes for a full 90 minutes, because it might be the last time we do see him in an Everton shirt, but I don't think you can complain at the fact that Morgan Schneiderlin started that game of football, in my opinion anyway. It's Idrissa Gana Gueye starting next to him. Of course, we've just spoken about Idrissa Gana Gueye, how important he has been to Everton Football Club since January, since the whole PSG saga, the whole I want to move, I want to play for my dream club saga. One thing you can say about Idrissa Gana Gueye is his professionalism is absolutely second to none. He's looked at that situation and he's gone, well, okay, I didn't get me dream move, but I'm going to do 1 or 2 things. I'm going to knuckle down, get my head down and prove that, I still want to play for this football club, or I'm going to knuckle down, get my head down and hope somebody comes back in for him in the summer, because he actually had a sensible head on him. And whereas 90% of footballers that spat the dummy, like Ross Barkley did, spat his dummy and gone, well, I don't want to play then, Idrissa Gana Gueye thought, well, that's not going to get me anywhere. The only way I'm going to get a move, if I want to move, is if I continue to play at the top level, and then teams say, well, okay, we'll come in for you again in the summer. And you know what, whether that is the case or not, we don't know yet. It's still to be seen, exactly like the Gomes situation, exactly like the Zouma situation. But again, he was quality on Sunday against Spurs, and again in the last sort of 3, 4, 5 weeks he has been absolutely fantastic, and you have to take your hat off to Idrissa Gana Gueye. Of course, Gylfi Sigurdsson playing in the number 10 as per usual. Again, played well, played really, really well. Wasn't the typical Gylfi 10 out of 10 performance that, we've seen at times this season, but he done what he needed to do. He done his job and he didn't do anything wrong. And I think that's really, really important when focusing on a Gylfi Sigurdsson performance, is that he didn't really necessarily do anything wrong. He slotted into that number 10 position and he played really, really well. He brought the 2 attackers into the game, and of course he done his part defending as well and backing up the likes of Schneiderlin and Gueye in the centre of that midfield. Before we go into talking about the front 3, we'll dive back into the live comments now, see what everybody is saying, where are we? Samuel also says, Vernon is not realistic. Someone like Rondon or Jimenez is more realistic. I don't want Rondon. I really don't want Rondon. But I wouldn't mind Jimenez. I think he's a really, really good player. Alex says, I don't think we'll finish 6th, but I think we can make it at top 7. Fair enough, fair enough. The football fan chat says, what will you do if Liverpool win the league? I want them to win it, but I assume you're talking about the Champions League, but I'm a Chelsea fan and remain the only team in London to have won it. I think Liverpool win 3-1. I think Liverpool will win the Champions League, and that's why I'm not getting too overly excited about them losing the league yesterday. I won't do anything, mate, because I'm an Everton fan, to be honest, and my only focus is Everton Football Club, and Liverpool are irrelevant to my life. I just love to laugh at them when they fuck up, and that's exactly what yesterday was. Samuel also says, realistically, who has been better this season, Solskjaer or Marco Silva? Definitely Marco Silva, 100%. And Football Friend says, Solskjaer only had 5 months in charge and then others players. That's also a very, very fair point. Samuel says, we need to deal with the transfer window, experiment with the squad during pre-season, get on your core to win, find us right starting 11, go on and have a good season under Marco Silva and finish 6th or 7th. Exactly, and I think that was a massive part in us, finishing the season well, and starting to gain that consistency and starting to get the wins against the teams that we really should be beating, and starting to perform against the top teams as well, is because Marco Silva found his consistent starting 11. Marco Silva started to realise that he had 11 players that he could play week in, week out, that he could trust, and I think, like I said, that was a massive part in us building that consistency up. That was why you see Michael Keane's performances over the course of the season improve, because he was playing in a back line that never changed. It was always Michael Keane, Kurt Zouma, Luca Dean and Seamus Coleman. Now, whether that was because John Joe Kenny wasn't good enough to challenge Seamus Coleman, whether that was because Yerry Mina wasn't fit enough to be in the squad, it doesn't matter. The back four was consistent, and that helped every single one of those players. It helped Jordan Pickford keep as many clean sheets as he did. Of course, the midfield stayed consistent as well. Andre Gomez, Gylfi Sigurdsson and Idrissa Gana Gueye. It only changed when Gomez couldn't play, and like I said, that was why I really wanted Morgan Stanley to start on Sunday, because when Gomez couldn't play, Morgan fitted in perfectly, and it was almost like a real like-for-like change, and it wasn't like we'd replaced Andre Gomez with a player that was significantly worse than him, or a player that couldn't do the role. Morgan stepped in and he'd done exactly what he needed to do, and of course obviously we had the consistency with the front three with Richarlison, Bernard and Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the last sort of 10 to 12 weeks as well, and that massively helped in getting us results. So I think you're right, if we can experiment with the squad during pre-season, if we can bring a couple of players in and we can keep that consistency going into next season, then I think we'll be alright. Samuel says, going with transfers, we are linked with niche midfielder Adrian Tamazi, possible replacement for Idrissa Gueye. I don't know much about him, I'm not going to lie, but I'd like to think that Idrissa Gueye will still be an Everton player come the summer, but again, I'm not holding me breath on that one. And David says, look at last summer, Richie and Mina were the only players anyone knew were happening. Exactly, of course, and that's the beauty about having Marcel Brands as your director of football. As I've said this numerous times before, numerous times on stream, numerous times on Twitter, we may sign players in the summer transfer window that we don't know of. We may sign players that we've hardly heard of, but the point is Marcel Brands and Marco Silva have heard of them, and if we trust in their decision making, then we'll come out the other end, and then we'll be looking at these players going, how unbelievable are they, like we did with Bernard, like we did with Luca Dean, like we did with Kurt Zouma to an extent, like we did with Richarlison to an extent. These were all players that people maybe knew of, but everyone went, well, okay, is Luca Dean good enough to do it in the Premier League because he's been at top sides but he's never really been favoured? Is Richarlison good enough because he had a decent first half of the season but second half of the season at Watford he was poor? Is Yerry Mina good enough, or has he only really had a good World Cup? Kurt Zouma got relegated with Stoke, so is he good enough? And these players all come in and they were all good enough. Andre Gomez as well, and that's why you have to trust in Marco Silva and Marcel Brands. David also says they already have started with the offers for players. Exactly. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Matthew says, I actually can't wait to see the next season's fixtures apart from City. I think we can beat anyone home and away. I agree as well. Spot on. David says, I'm quite sure I'll be happy come August. Me too, David. Matthew says, but then again, we can drop points anywhere. Again, exactly. We can beat any team in the league on our day, but we can also be beaten by any team in the league when we're not on our day. So it's one of them, isn't it? And David says, so can everyone else, Matthew. Exactly. Spot on, and that's spot on as well. Anybody can lose to anybody in this league. So going into the front three, of course, Marco Silva having to field a little bit of a different front three. Of course, he announced in his pre-game press conference on Thursday that both Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin were going to be out of the fixture due to injury. Now, whether that was due to injury or whether that was because he said, listen lads, you've had a fucking fantastic season, you've been brilliant throughout it, so just watch from the sidelines. I don't know. I don't want to say that is the case. I dare say they probably were injured. But of course, Theo Walcott coming in on the right-hand side, Bernard starting on the left as per usual, and Cenk Tosun coming in up front. Now, I think we all sort of knew that if Richarlison wasn't to play, it would be Theo Walcott, and if Dominic Calvert-Lewin wasn't to play, it would be Cenk Tosun. I don't think either of those changes surprised everyone. Of course, Bernard starting on the left, coming off as well, 10 minutes into the second half. I don't know whether that was anything to do with the fact that he may be carrying a little bit of a knock. I don't know whether it might be to do with a little bit of a fitness issue, or I don't know whether Marco Silva's just gone, listen, Bernie, you've had a fantastic last 12 weeks. We can see that, getting a little bit tired now, so just sit off, basically. You can have the second half off, whatever. The game means nothing, so take a seat and watch from the stands like everybody else is, and join in the chance to want Tottenham to win the Champions League. But yeah, no money messing. Of course, Bernard starting on the left, and like I said, we all pretty much knew that with Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin being out, it was going to be Theo Walcott and Cenk Tosun. Now, going into this game, given the fact that there was nothing really in the game, given the fact it was the last game of the season, we knew we couldn't finish 7th, we knew that we weren't playing for much. I don't think a lot of fans were really interested in the fact that Cenk Tosun was in the starting 11 or Theo Walcott, despite the fact that both players haven't had a fantastic season, despite the fact that both players have only got, 5-6 goals between them for the entire season, which is really, really poor for a winger and a centre forward as well. But of course, Cenk Tosun coming in, like I said, done well. I think it's clear for me. I don't want to be too harsh on the lad, and I don't want to be too negative, because it really was a good game of football, and obviously he ended up scoring a goal. But I think it's clear that we need another striker, and I think we can all agree on that one. And of course, Theo Walcott coming in, and in recent weeks, Theo's definitely picked his head up. He's definitely gained a lot more confidence, and he's definitely enjoying his football a lot more, because like I said, that goal against Manchester United has given Theo the world of confidence. And I think, Marco Silva now trusts, I think, in Theo Walcott a little bit more, and the fans do as well. The fans will see Theo Walcott on the team sheet now and they'll go, okay, you know what, maybe let's give him another opportunity. He struggled with confidence, he struggled with form last season. He scored that goal against Manchester United to give him a massive bout of confidence. Let's give him a little bit of another shot. Yes, he shouldn't be starting week in, week out. That's absolutely, of course, he shouldn't be starting week in, week out. But I don't see an issue with him coming off the bench. I don't see an issue with him starting, the odd game that Richarlison can't start, or whoever else may play in that right wing position going into next season can't start. Of course, the two players were both goal scorers for the game, so whatever you think about the changes, Cenk Tosun obviously getting himself on the score sheet, absolutely fantastic to see. It wasn't the best goal, it was a little bit scrappy, probably would have been disallowed if VAR had been in, because not that I think it should have been disallowed, but I just think everything goes against Everton, and they'd have found some way to disallow it. But like I said, not the prettiest goal out at all, but nevertheless, it's a goal for Cenk Tosun that will have given him an absolute bucket load of confidence. And it's a shame, really, that it's come on the last day of the season. It's a shame, really, that it's come at a point where, Cenk may be replaced in the summer. We may be looking at Cenk Tosun not playing much football for Everton next season. Whether he's still at the club or not is a different matter. But, we all know that we need a number 9. We all know that we need a 20 to 30 goal a season striker, and that was always going to be the case whether Cenk Tosun scored yesterday or whether he didn't score yesterday. So I think it is maybe a little bit disappointing for the player and the fans to see him get that bout of confidence right at the end of the season, and that happened in the very, very last game of the season. But nevertheless, it was still fantastic to see the lad celebrate. It was still fantastic to see exactly what it meant to Cenk Tosun. And you can say whatever you like about him, you can say he's not good enough, you can say he shouldn't be our number 9 going forward, but one thing you can't say is the lad loves this football club, and you can't argue with that. You can't disagree with the fact he loves this football club and he wants to give his all week in, week out. Whether his all's good enough or not is a different question, but he'll give 110% when he's wearing that blue shirt. And sometimes, like it was yesterday, that's enough to get you a goal, and it did yesterday. Of course, Theo Walcott getting one as well. Probably wouldn't have scored if he'd have hit it cleanly, but the luck being the luck, he ended up slipping on his arse and putting the ball in the back of the net again. Another goal that would have meant massive amounts to him, of course, playing for Arsenal for so long, playing against his bitter rivals in Spurs. That would have meant not just a massive amount to him because it would have given him more confidence, because again, it was another goal in this sort of poor season that he's had, but being the team that it was against, of course, it will have given massive amounts of confidence as well. So like we said, we started the game, really poor, to be honest, didn't we? The first 3 minutes, of course, conceding, and you were sitting back in your seat. I said this in the instant match reaction, you were sitting back and you were sort of thinking, oh my God, is it going to be another one of those days where we just have to get through the 90 minutes, make sure City win the league, just forget about it, go into next season and never talk about it again? But it wasn't like that at all. We booked our ideas up when we conceded, of course. It was a poor goal to concede defensively. It was a lapse in concentration, and I think Marco Silva had the players in, and he passed the message on throughout the whole squad. Listen, get your asses in gear now, because you can't be doing that throughout this game. And of course, The lads kicked themselves back up. They got their asses in gear. And like I said, there was never one point in that game where I felt we were truly out of it. Even when that, first goal went in, you're sort of sitting there in the Evertonian and you're thinking, are we going to go through this again? Is this going to be another one of those days? There was never really a point where you thought, we're not in this game at all. We were always creating opportunities. We were always getting the ball. We were keeping possession. We were playing the ball nicely around Spurs. Like I said, there wasn't a point in the game where you felt they absolutely battered us and, we weren't going to get anything out the game. Of course, going into the second half, we were getting a little bit more of the ball, we were creating a little bit more opportunities, and players were starting to get into the game a little bit more. Theo Walcott was getting into the game a little bit more, Bernard obviously coming off, and Ademola Lookman coming on, Marco Silva giving him a massive chunk of time as well, and then, it's 1-1, all of a sudden, ball comes in, Theo Walcott takes it, very, very well, and to the shock of me, and I dare say, a few Evertonians, the ball's in the back of the net, and it's all of a sudden, it's 1-1, and you're sitting there going, fucking hell, it's right, get in, fucking is right, what a goal. And, like I said before, if he hits it cleanly, it might have went in, but he slips on his arse and he ends up, just putting it millimetres past the reach of Hugo Lloris, and all of a sudden, it's 1-0, and you're thinking, you know what, we can keep this, if we can get a draw here, that's a really, really good result, Brilliant, we're back in the game. We were never out the game anyway. It wasn't like we were getting, hounded and we got a lucky goal on the counter-attack and you're sitting there thinking, well, they'll only go and score another one anyway, so what's the point? It wasn't like that at all. We were in the game and we'd scored the equaliser, so you're thinking, you know what, confidence, fantastic, let's go again. And then all of a sudden, we went again and we scored the second, and you're sitting there thinking, fucking hell, we've scored the second, we're 2-1 up, and then you get a notification on your phone saying, City are 3-1 up, and you're thinking, this is fucking brilliant. What a day this has turned out to be. Cenk Tosun obviously pummels it into the net. A ball comes in from a corner. There's a little bit of doolally in the box and it ends up falling to Cenk. And I think he just hits it dead hard. And, Hugo Lloris ends up tipping it over the goal line. And if he didn't tip it over the goal line, Cenk Tosun volleys him into the goal. And it ends up counting. And, of course, we go 2-1 up and you're sitting there thinking, boss, we're in this game consistently. We're not really leaking that many opportunities. Spurs haven't had that many opportunities. We're in the game and we're now 2-1 up. So if we can keep it like this, we've gone away to a top 6 side. Again, I'll stress this, not just a top 6 side. Let's not put Tottenham in the same category as Man United, because they're fucking miles better than Man United. They're miles better than Arsenal, and they're miles better than Chelsea. Not just a top 6 side, one of the best sides in the league, other than the two sides that have spent millions and billions between them. Tottenham have spent nothing and they're in a Champions League final. We've gone there and we've gone 2-1 up in a game that, we were very well in. We weren't, like I said, we weren't luckily getting back into the game. They weren't hounding us with chances and we scored 2 on the counter. We deserved to be up, ahead at that point in the game. All of a sudden, we're 2-1 up and you're thinking, brilliant, keep this out now. Let's just play the nice football that we've been playing for the rest of the game, see it out and see where we are, at the end of the game. And then, of course, we give away a stupid free kick. And it really, really is a stupid free kick. And it's one of those that you look at the time and you think, that's silly. That really, really is silly. But it's something that we need to focus on going into next season. It really, really is. It's something that we need to look at going into next season. We need to look at, of course, giving away free kicks in that manner, giving away silly free kicks on the edge of the box that we don't need to. He pulls them back. The lad's going nowhere. He pulls them back. He gives away the free kick. And all of a sudden, you're seeing Christian Eriksen stand in front of it and you're thinking, this is only going to go one place in it and it's only going to go in the back of the net. Like I said, I was quite disappointed at the free kick. I think Jordan Pickford should have done a lot better, but nevertheless, he shouldn't be giving free kicks away in that position against the side that have got such a deadly set piece taken in like Spurs. If you're going to give a free kick away, do it on the halfway line, do it 40 yards away. If you're going to whip the player up with the ball, do it 40 yards away. Don't do it 20, 25 yards away from the goal when you've got a player like Christian Eriksen on the opposition team who is deadly from dead ball situations. But anyway, we give a free kick away, and like I said, I think the general consensus at that point was, this is probably going in the back of the net. He strikes it. It's a decent free kick, to be fair, but for me, like I said, Jordan Pickford should do better, but I'm not going to go into that. It's 2-2, and you're thinking, well, okay, it's 2-2 now. They were obviously 1 up. They're at home. They're in their fancy new stadium. They're the better side. They're the better, team. We've got a few key players out. We're probably doing well to be in this position. And in saying that, we should be winning the game of football as well. And I think after that point, I think it was just a settled game of football. It was back and forth. We created opportunities. They created opportunities. And I think, you know what? Yes, there's an argument for that. We should have won the game, but I think a draw at the end of the day was a good result and a fair result. And at the end of the day, we all sat here last week and we all said that we can go to Spurs and we can go and get a good result, being a draw or even a win, who knows, then that's a fantastic end to the season. We sat here when we battered Burnley at home and we said, you know what, we need to see that type of performance against Spurs now. And of course, when Marco Silva announced that Richarlison, Seamus Coleman, Dominic Calvert-Lewin were going to be out of this game, I think a lot of us sort of went, shit. what's going to happen here, because at the end of the day, Seamus hasn't had the best of seasons. Richarlison, of course, is a little bit frustrating at times. Dominic Calvert-Lewin needs to improve on his goal scoring ability, but that's 3 players there that are key to our squad. That's, our club captain, our captain, who plays right back and is key to our squad, and of course we see him being replaced with a centre half who isn't naturally a right back or ever played at right back to my recollection. You've got a player in Richarlison who's our top goal scorer, being absolutely fantastic in the right place at the right time, and a lot of times this season out. And you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who against the top 6 sides has been phenomenal. Why can't I say it has been phenomenal in recent weeks? He's been that player that stood in front of the centre half and being the nuisance and taking the pressure away from the likes of Bernard and Richarlison on the right and the left. So when you're looking at that and you're seeing those 3 players out, you really are thinking, well, we know that Theo Walcott's going to come in. We know that he's playing, Spurs, a side that he absolutely hates, in the fact that, and the fact that his confidence has been low this season. We know that Cenk Tosun's coming in. His confidence has been low this season. He hasn't scored anywhere near enough goals. So how is this game going to pan out? We know that we might have to throw John Joe Kenny in, who we don't necessarily think is ready, or a player may have to adopt the role of playing right back. How is this going to end up? And it ended up really, really well. Like I said, they mightn't have had Harry Kane, they mightn't have had Son, but we matched them. We matched them with key players out of our squad as well. That wasn't our best 11, and that wasn't the best we've played either. We played better against Manchester United, in my opinion, but we've gone away to one of the best sides in the league. The 3rd best team in this league and Champions League finalists, and we've stood up to them and we've come away with a well-earned result and a well-earned draw in a game that we could have won as well. And I think that's really, really important to take away. We all sat here in the weeks before saying, if we can end the season strong, then we go into next season with a lot of confidence. We go into next season happy, and we're sitting here in the summer and we're thinking, if we can bring in a couple of players, if we can keep it hold of a couple of key players, including Gomez and Zuma, then it's been a really, really good summer transfer window. And then we go into next season with the belief that we can finish above the likes of United, we can finish above the likes of Chelsea, we can finish above the likes of Arsenal, because these teams are beatable and we've beat them all this season. So we should understand that we can finish above them teams in the league if we add that consistency. And like I said before, this summer transfer window now is absolutely key to Everton Football Club and where we end up next season, I think. And we'll have to see how it unfolds, obviously, in the next coming weeks and months. We'll dive into the live comments now, because there's been quite a few comments since we last jumped into them. Where are we? I think we are here. Matthew says, who would you like to come to see come in camp? Names, please. You want me to be realistic or unrealistic? I really want Gomez and Zuma to sign on a permanent deal. I'd love to see Lozano. I'd love to see David Neres from PSV. In terms of a striker, I don't know. It's really, really tough to say, because listen, we're looking at players like Timo Werner, who probably aren't going to sign for Everton Football Club, but we're also looking at players that in the Premier League that we mightn't necessarily sign. I've seen the Callum Wilson one be thrown about, and I really do think that will sign a 20-30 goal a season cycle in the summer, but I don't necessarily think it'll be somebody we've ever heard of before. It might well be somebody that Marco Silva's had his eye on for years and years and years, that is more than good enough to play in this league, more than good enough to fit into our squad, but that we don't really know a lot of. And that's the exciting thing, because like I said, going into this season, we had Richarlison, who there was question marks about. We had Luca Dean, who there was question marks about. We had Bernard, who there was question marks about. Luca Dean's our player of the season by a country mile. He's a prime Leighton Baines. Bernard's technically our best player we've got in the squad, and Richarlison's our leading goal scorer. So I'm really, really excited going into it. But there's a couple of names just to throw them out in the pot. If you haven't joined the team so far, by the way, please do leave a like. It really, really does mean a massive amount to me. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Like I said, that really, really means a lot to me. Where are we? David says, I'm more excited about the new stadium pitches this summer than the transfers. Fair enough. The new stadium pitches, of course, will be released in the next coming weeks and months as well, with the second part of the consultation. We'll be covering all of that on the channel, so don't forget to join us for that when it breaks. Mitchell says, what's more important this next season, ins or outs? Good question. Really, really good question, Mitchell. I think that equally is important, to be honest. Obviously it's important that we bring in the likes of, let's say Gomez on a permanent, Zuma on a permanent, a 20-30 goal a season striker, a right back. I keep banging on about 20-30 goal a season striker, a Premier League proven striker that we know can score goals week in, week out. We'll go with that one. But it's also important that we get some players off the wage bill that we know have got no future at Everton Football Club. The likes of Kevin Morales, the likes of Ashley Williams, who I know will undoubtedly leave. Maybe definitely Sandro Ramirez. Maybe even Nikola Vlasic, depending on where his attitude's at. So it's a really, really good question. Let me know your thoughts on that one in the comment section down below as well. Robbie says, I'm not sure Walcott will stick around 100k per week to mainly sitting on the bench isn't exactly Brands' MO. Yeah, of course, and I agree. I'm not too sure what will be an Everton player at the start of next season either, but you know, wherever he goes, I think that goal against Spurs will do a lot for his confidence. David says Zapata or Luke de Jong would be possible. I'd love Luke de Jong at Everton. I think he's a fantastic player. Be really interesting to see what happens with that, and of course got that Dutch link with Marcel Brands as well. Matthew says, why were the Red side constantly bringing us and United up yesterday like a defence mechanism? It was hilarious that they thought it was on only to get their balloon burst. Exactly. They're just a weird fan base, aren't they? They're a proper weird fan base. David says outgoings are definitely more important than ins. Brands has already said that. There you go, coming from Brands himself. Matthew says it was a good performance, but Spurs clearly had the line in the final. Of course, and I've got no sort of illusions whatsoever as that Spurs were absolutely 100% wanting to win that game of football yesterday. Spurs probably approached that game of football going, you know what, let's just go out there, play a little bit nonchalant, turn up, put in a decent show for the fans, but realistically, we're not that arsed because we've got more important things to think about. And I think that was shown with obviously the fact that, you know, well, your son's suspended so he couldn't play, Harry Kane's injured, but I think that was shown by the fact that the players weren't really, you know, playing as well as they have done at parts this season. And I said yesterday, sitting there to me, Dad, if they play like that against Liverpool, they'll be beaten. But I've got no worries whatsoever because, well, I have got worries because obviously Liverpool may win the Champions League, but I've got no worries about Spurs playing like that because I think that was second gear, if that, for Spurs yesterday. And yes, we stood up to them, but what I was trying to say is we also were in a fifth gear. We also were, it wasn't the best Everton performance you've seen all season. It wasn't as good as Arsenal at home. It wasn't as good as United at home, sorry, in my opinion. We had key players out as well, and we still matched that. But like I said, I've got no illusion whatsoever as the fact that Spurs weren't at their best yesterday. David says, aren't the players released on Wednesday for their holidays? If I'm right, that thought, why haven't we heard anything about Baines and Jags' contact? Exactly. It'll be really interesting to see how that one unfolds as well. Of course, we don't know at the minute whether Baines and Phil Jagielka are going to get another contact. I dare say Leighton Baines will, because obviously Marco Silva's come out and praised Leighton Baines and said how much of a professional he is and said how, you know, he believes he's got a part to play in our team going forward, especially being the backup to Lichodine. But in terms of Phil Jagielka, again, that one is in the clouds at the minute. Matthew says, were you at the game, Cam, or were you watching something else? I was listening on the radio. Yeah. Alex says, what do you want the new kit to look like? I just want it to be proper Everton blue and look boss, basically. I've not got any designs that I want it to be specifically. I just want it to look boss, be Everton blue, and I want Andre Gomez and Kurt Zuma to be modelling it with shirts saying up the fucking toffees, we're here to stay. And if that happens, I'll be absolutely made up. But anyway, like I said, just to summarise the game of football in itself, it was a really good result to end the season. We all sat here and said if we can go to Spurs, if we can get a good result, then, you know, happy days. We can go into the summer with our heads held high, looking forward to next season. And that's the most important thing for me, is all us Blues are sitting here now and we're thinking, you know what, I absolutely can't wait until the next season. I can't wait to see what we do in the summer, and I can't wait to see how we line up and where we finish next season. Really positive vibes around the football club at the minute. Positive about Marco Silva, positive about Marcel Brands, and I absolutely love to see it, because there was a little bit of a dark point in the middle of the season where you were thinking, well, is Marco Silva the right man for the job? Is Marcel Brands doing what he should be doing? But I think we're all sort of on board now in the fact that Marco Silva is the right man for the job, and the fact that we have trust in Marcel Brands as well to do what he needs to do. Obviously, season's done now. Like I said, a massive thank you for all of the support throughout the Premier League season. I'm not going anywhere. I'm literally still going to be doing 2 or 3 streams a week throughout the summer, of course, talking about the new stadium, talking about the new images to be released with that, talking about the new kit when that's released, talking about any transfer rumours, ins and outs, talking about how the summer is going to affect us, talking about the Premier League season that we've just seen as a whole. So I'm going absolutely nowhere, so you don't need to worry about that whatsoever. But I just want to say a massive thank you for all the support on all the previews, the reviews, the instant match reactions as well. It really does mean a massive amount to me. And yeah, like I said, I'm not going anywhere throughout the summer, but in terms of those videos, of course, there won't be instant match reactions or reviews or previews, because we don't play until obviously we start the pre-season and then we go again. But a massive thank you to everybody for all of your support. I never ever dreamed that I've been nearing 500 subscribers and nearly 50,000 views on all the videos when I started the channel in August. When I sat in front of the camera and I started talking about us drawing with Wolves 2-2, I thought these videos might get 20 views, these videos might get 15 views, but the fact that, you know, a lot of them are breaking over 100 and a lot of you guys are getting involved as well, it really does mean a massive amount to me, so thank you very much for that. Like I said, that season's done now. We finished 8th, maybe not, you know, the most ideal position we wanted to finish. Maybe we all thought at the start of the season, yes, we should be finishing 7th, but I don't think you can really knock the fact that Wolves have had, you know, an absolutely fantastic season. But like I said at the start of the season, I don't think Wolves will finish in the top 7 next season. I think Europa League football will affect them, and I think the players that they've got, there'll be, you know, a lot of big teams snooping around, the likes of Ruben Neves, the likes of Jimenez, the likes of Diego Jota as well. So it'll be a tough season for them, but it'll be a tough season for everyone. Every team has to build, and that includes Everton. And we go into a summer transfer window now that we're all in high spirits about, we're all happy about, we're all excited about, and like we've spoken about in this team, we need to make sure that we keep some key players. We keep the likes of Idrissa Gana Gueye. If we can sign Gomez and Zuma on a permanent, then that is, you know, 2 signings that, of course, we've seen this season, but will feel absolutely unbelievable to us fans as well. And then hopefully we can add another couple of players. Then for me, that will have been a fantastic transfer window, but there's no guarantee that will happen, so we'll have to see what happens. And of course, the outs as well will be massively important to the football club. But like I said, we'll speak about the summer, we'll speak about the season as a whole in the next coming weeks and months in the stream. So don't forget to join us on Wednesday. The season is over, but that doesn't matter. We're going to go straight into talking about the season as a whole on Wednesday and Friday. I think I'm going to do 2 separate streams, one basically about the first half of the season, one about the second half of the season, because I've got a feeling they'll go on for quite a while, and I don't want to sit here for 3 hours and bore you to death talking about that. So don't forget to join us for my seasonal review on Wednesday, starting at 6:15. Don't be late. Don't forget to join us for that one. And then, of course, continuing on Friday and then going into the next week, we'll talk about the summer transfer window. We'll talk about Brandon Silva. We'll talk about the new kit. We'll talk about the stadium. There's a lot of positives to take from this season. A lot of positives. Let's forget about that month in December, January, February, when we were a little bit shit, when, you know, the derby affected us. And let's think about the results against the top 6 sides in recent weeks. Let's think about the fact that we've gone to Spurs with a weakened squad. I think it's fair to say, and, you know, we've stood up to them, and on another day we could have won that game of football. But like I said, a massive thank you once again for everybody for joining me today and for joining me throughout the whole of the 2018-19 season. I can't wait to kick on now for the summer, and I can't wait to kick on going into next season as well. Matthew says Spurs starting 11 versus Liverpool starting 11. I don't think there's much between the two sides, and I think the Champions League final is going to pens, which means I'll probably have a heart attack. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see it myself, mate. And David says, always boss, nice one, Cam. Thank you very much, David, and thank you very much to everybody else in the live comments. And if you're watching this as a YouTube video afterwards, once again, a massive thank you for all your support over the course of the Premier League season. And don't forget, we're not going anywhere. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk about the season as a whole, and then throughout the summer for loads more, hopefully boss content that you all enjoy. I'm really excited about the channel. I'm really excited about the channel's going. Got some really good plans throughout the summer, and of course leading into next season as well. We're going to make it bigger and better than ever, and hopefully we're going to get a couple of more people on board as well to get involved, and so we can broaden our horizons in terms of content as well. But anyway, that's going to do it from me today. A massive thank you all for watching. Once again, if you have enjoyed today's stream, please do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to join us on Wednesday at 6:15 for the first half of my seasonal review. We'll be talking about the season as a whole, talking about the players, talking about the new signings, talking about players that were currently in the squad that were there last season, of course, improved players, and of course talking about Marco Silva as well, and Marcel Brands, and Phil Jagielka, and Leighton Baines, and Farhad Moshiri, and the under-23s, and everything, and the fact that City have won the league and the shite have won fuck all still, which of course is a little bit nice as well, isn't it? It's bittersweet, isn't it? Well, it's not bittersweet, it's fucking dead sweet, because it's brilliant, and it was fantastic to see all the fans taking the piss out of them in Lamsey. But anyway, a massive thank you to everybody for watching once again. It really does mean a massive amount to me. I'll see you on Wednesday for the seasonal review. Don't forget to join us for that one. Shabba says, look forward to seeing you over the summer camp. Thank you very much, Shabba, and thank you to you and to everybody else for getting involved in the live stream as well. But that's going to do it for today's stream. Please do leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new. A fantastic result to end the season on, a fantastic performance to end the season on, and hopefully we can kick into next season, continue in this run of form, add a couple of players in the summer, keep a couple of players in the summer as well, and like I said, hopefully push on to challenging that top 6 next season. But that's going to do it for me. A massive thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.